Get all the wiggles out. Get all the nerves out. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to our second Blue Tape Art Talk. It's been a hot minute. Our last one was in March or April 2020. So it's been a while, but we're back again, better than ever. So I'm Erin Carty. I am the Communications and Programs Associate here at Art League Houston. I go by she, her pronouns, and I am currently wearing a white collared shirt underneath a black sweater with a light pink face mask with a floral pattern. And I'll let Joy, I think she's above me, introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Joy Smith. I'm an associate here at Art League Houston. I am currently wearing a black sweater with a white shirt underneath, a black blazer, and a black mask with paint splatters on the side. I had to put that detail in. It's Art League.
Yeah, and like we're matching unintentionally. This was not planned. This was not planned at all.
We're just so coordinated.
Yeah, it worked out. So if you don't know what our Blue Tape Art Talks are, they were initially conceived to be in-person informal talks where we would go and have like little tours around the galleries, kind of giving some behind-the-scenes info about the shows, about our installation process. Then COVID-19 happened, and we have transformed them to digital programming instead. Our last one was about our March 2020 exhibitions, which featured Alice Leora Briggs, Tamika Jones, Jamie Robertson, Michaela Kandungog, and Veronica Gawuna, and you can watch that on our YouTube actually. And Joy, did you want to give an update on like our ALH exhibitions and our appointment process?
Yes, so we are open here at ALH for appointments, and you can go on our website, artleaguehouston.org, and you can book an appointment for up to 4 guests. So it could be you and 3 other people in a party. So Erin is pulling up our website where you can go to book. You can book for an hour at a time, and you get free reign over both the galleries to come see our wonderful shows. I have one of Rick Lowe's works right behind me. And so because we are in a pandemic, we have certain COVID policies that you must follow when you come in. Here's a list of them right now. We ask that you wear your mask for the full duration that you're here. And when you first enter the building, you will get your temperature checked. And it's actually hands-free, so you just have to put your head up to it. So it's really convenient. And so we'll all know that you are a good temperature to come through. We also ask if you've been exposed or if you've tested positive, that you or have been asked to quarantine, or maybe that you're feeling sick. We ask you to stay home, stay safe, and reschedule your appointment for another time. And we'll be happy to see you when you're feeling much better. Also, our exhibits are up until April the 24th of this year. They are a bit longer because we want as many people to come see them as possible. Also, if you can't make it, feel free to cancel your appointment. It's no trouble for us. It's just good for us to know so that maybe someone else who can come can have that time. So please cancel if you can. But we'd love to see you, and we'd love for you to come see the works.
Yeah,
So
and
you
then
can book there.
Yeah, if you click here, it just takes us to our Eventbrite page where you will book your appointment.
And all you have to do is put your name and your email and select the date and time you'd like to come in. And it's completely free. We're always free. So it's an easy thing to do.
Yeah, so that's the size of our appointments. Feel free to come by see the shows if you feel comfortable coming in and seeing the shows. And face masks are required. We're all wearing them here.
And we're also sanitizing a lot. So we are constantly sanitizing throughout the day, and of course before visits and after visits. So we are taking all the precautions to make it as safe for you and safe for us as possible.
Yeah, there's hand sanitizer all throughout the building. I can attest, my hands can attest, they have been dry. So we are trying to make sure this will be, not Lysol. But we are attesting that it is as safe as we can make it. And if anything changes, we'll let you guys know. We do have some exciting spring projects coming up too. We'll have some exciting new programs happening featuring Ronald Llewellyn-Jones, Pamela Council, and Hong Hong. So definitely follow us on our social media and follow our newsletters. Look out for that. And then next Thursday is our open call webinar at 6 p.m. If you've been wanting to apply to our open call, this will be a great webinar, kind of giving you more information about what our open call is, the process, and we'll be kind of talking with Philip Kyle, who's the head of our Artist Advisory Board, and how the selection process works. So that is free to attend. You just need to register beforehand, which you can do on our website under exhibitions where it says open call. So,
and just be aware that the link will become active when the webinar starts. So it's not active right now because it's not going on, but it will become active when the webinar becomes active at that time. So just watch out for that next week.
Yep, next Thursday at 6 p.m. So that'll be a good time. I think we should kind of talk about our annual awards and give a little background on that. So our current exhibitions right now are our annual award exhibition. Lowe is our 2020 Texas Artist of the Year. I almost said 2021. I'm like, that hasn't happened yet. And then Celia Álvarez Muñoz was our 2020 Lifetime Achievement Award in the Visual Arts recipient. And so the Texas Artist of the Year was established in 1983, and the award recognizes artists who have demonstrated exceptional creativity and outstanding achievement, and whose work has had a significant and positive impact on contemporary visual art in Texas. Those who have been recognized have already produced a significant body of work and stand apart as leading figures and visionary talents within the field of contemporary art in Texas. Some past recipients include Margarita Cabrera, Trenton Doyle Hancock, Francesca Fuchs, Rachel Hecker, Joseph Havel, the Art Guys, and many more. And then, Joy, do you want to talk about our Lifetime Achievement Award?
Yes, so every year there is a Lifetime Achievement Award. It's either for an artist, and that artist will receive an exhibition and recognition during our gala, or it will be an arts leader, and we'll celebrate them at our gala. So it alternates year by year. So one year it will be an artist, and the next year it will be an arts leader. So this Lifetime Achievement Award in Visual Arts was established in 2013, and it was established to recognize artists whose career has spanned more than 40 years and people who have made an outstanding contribution to the world of visual arts here in Texas and beyond. Some past recipients of the Lifetime Achievement Award in Visual Arts have been George Smith. Sorry.
No,
have been George Smith, Jesse Lott, Forrest Prince, and Kermit Oliver. Our Lifetime Achievement Award, just the award, was established in 2019, and it biennially honors visionaries and artistic leaders in the community whose work has had a positive and long-lasting impact on contemporary visual arts here in Texas. And this year's recipient is Betty Moody. Is it this year or 2019? Sorry, 2019. Oh my goodness, the years are kind of smushing all together.
What is time anymore? And then, of course, we have our Texas Patrons of the Year Award, and that was established in 1989, and this honors extraordinary individuals whose efforts have helped advance the work of Texas artists. Past recipients include Anita and Gerald Smith.
Those are my parents on the left side, Gerald and Anita.
I'm like, oh, I love that.
So we're big fans of the award.
Carrie Ann Chaney, Anise Parker, who was the mayor of Houston from 2010 to 2016, Liam Ricky Smith, and many more. This year's, or 2020's, Texas Patron of the Years were Mary and Bernardina Orocha. So yeah, that's a fun little fact about our award ceremony. And then the way that they're chosen isn't, ALH staff does not choose the award winners at all. Rather, we have a committee of distinguished arts leaders who come together to create and make the selection. And then there are certain points that the committee needs to consider when considering who to give the award to. And then what they get for Texas Artist of the Year and Lifetime Achievement Award in the Visual Arts is an exhibition and a catalog, along with being honored at our gala. And then our patrons and Lifetime Achievement awardees will be honored at our gala. And so we kind of wanted to showcase some of the exhibitions and some of the catalogs. Give me 1 second. There we go. So I started all the way from the beginning. There we go. 2019, we had Margarita Cabrera, and this is her Texas Artist of the Year exhibition. And then this is her collector's edition catalog with the embroidered border of New Mexico and Texas and Mexico. Really, really, really nice work. And then in 2018, our Lifetime Achievement Award in the Visual Arts was George Smith, and he had the front gallery and the hallway gallery, if I remember correctly. That was before I was working here, but from what I've seen on the Facebook photos, he had the hallway and front gallery. And then this was his catalog. And nice, you know, nice embossing. My limited graphics lantern embossing. And then 2018 Lifetime Achievement, or not Lifetime Achievement, or Texas Artist of the Year was Francesca Fuchs. I like how all their catalogs like fit their personalities and fit their artwork really well too.
They're all different and very special to each one of them. They're curated very specifically for each artist. Not everyone is the same, because not every artist is the same.
Yeah, and if you look on our website under our shop, you can see a list of all the catalogs we have available if you wanted to purchase a past one, and they all have their own unique personality. And finally, Trenton Doyle Hancock. I love this exhibition. This is a really great exhibition, but yeah. So those are
and a great catalog to go. A great catalog to go along with it. Yeah.
Just all around amazing. And I really love all these Texas and Lifetime Achievement Award exhibitions, because it really shows you the contemporary art in Texas and how diverse and incredibly amazing it is. So check it out on our past exhibitions and buy a catalog. All right, so with that, we're going to talk about our 2020 annual award exhibition. And so one of the missions of Art League Houston is to always be artist driven. And we work with artists when they're installing their exhibitions and have their idea, to make sure that their idea gets recognized. So we really want to support artists here. So with that, I'm going to talk about Rick Lowe.
So I am in the gallery where Rick Lowe's work is featured. Behind me is a large green work. It is it's one of the largest in the show. It is the largest in the show, and it's very prominently featured here. So a little bit about Rick. So Rick Lowe is very well known throughout the Houston arts community for his social and community-based work. His artwork, from his social sculptures and his civic projects and his paintings, demonstrate a sense of community and familial bonds. Lowe attended Columbus College in Columbus, Georgia from 1979 to 1982, and Texas Southern University here in Houston from 1990 to 1992. He's been probably well known for being the co-founder of Project Row Houses here in Houston, along with fellow African-American artists James Bettison, Burt Long Jr., Jesse Lott, Floyd Newsom, Bert Samples, and George Smith. Other significant achievements include initiatives such as Watts House Project in Los Angeles, California, Transforma projects in New Orleans, Louisiana, and the Victoria Square project in Athens, Georgia. He's received several awards, including an appointment by former President Barack Obama to the National Council of Art in 2013, followed by his acknowledgement as a MacArthur Fellow in 2014. Rick is currently a professor of interdisciplinary practice at the University of Houston and is represented by Hiram Butler Gallery here in Houston and Luis Alexander Gallery in Los Angeles, California. A lot of his art deals with social practice, but here a lot of the work, there is a duality between the social practice art and the formal art in a lot of his works. So should we talk a little bit more about his works now that we talked a little bit about him?
So here is, this is the kind of first iteration of his show back in September and October of his work. Rick really wanted to remind people he doesn't just do social practice art, but also does a lot of visual work as well. And with these stunning paintings and drawings that still, I think, his social practice is still influencing his art, especially if you watched his talk with Alex Jim. They do talk a lot about his earlier paintings and how he was responding to cultural and current events. So I think it's all tied together. So it just expressed in a different way.
Absolutely. It really just kind of melds together. He can't quite get away from social practice just yet. It really is followed into these works here. Even some of the details are reminiscent of a lot of the social practice work.
Hmm. And so these paintings and drawings were specifically focused on dominoes and domino culture, which he played a lot with when he was working at Project Row, and I think in Athens, Georgia, his place there. I think it's just a reminder that like games like that, like card games, dominoes, board games, they're really like a unifying thing for people. Like everyone can say a time where they played Monopoly with their family and almost like lost friends over it, or like Trivial Pursuit or Solitaire. And I really love that, and like that sense of community and connection through dominoes.
Absolutely, and it's such a universal game. You can find people playing it in so many different places, and it's really a community builder. And because Rick is so big on community, it makes sense that he would choose a game that is really a unifying game. So many people love to play it, especially in the African American community here in Houston and in other places in the world. Um,
Yeah. And so Rick definitely had work he wanted in the show. And so we worked with him to kind of curate the show with work he wanted. And then a really cool thing is we actually got to go to his studio to pick a couple of other pieces that we wanted in the show. So it was this really beautiful collaboration between Art League and Rick Lowe in creating his exhibition. I think it's really a really great thing. Um, some of you guys may notice that we have a different back wall piece. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So this is our first back wall piece, which was made for the show, and the MFAH did acquire it for their Kinder building. So if you would like to see it, it is at the Kinder, but we wanted to talk a little bit about it and that we miss it very much.
So it was, yes, it was as Erin said, it was originally made specifically for Art League Houston, and it was featured actually where the green work is now. Um, Erin, you had some feelings from the big red work versus the green. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
I really like them. To me, they both create two different feelings. The red one, I think it might be because of the color and how much is going on with these clusters. It feels almost chaotic, not in a bad way of chaotic, but just like this really intense chaotic. And I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, that looks like it could be an aerial view shot of a map of a city somewhere. And I really love that kind of urban feel. I don't want to say urban, like that city feel about it, and just like how the red lines remind me of like streets and kind of trying to find your way around. I also really love the
Absolutely.
moment of like the greens and the yellows kind of like playing with that red.
Right. Well, it is very topographical. It does look like a bird's eye view of a city. And I think the maybe congestion and the chaos that you're describing is reminiscent of a city. I mean, Houston, we know what Houston traffic is like at 5 p.m., and that's pretty indicative of that. So I think, I think everyone has their own interpretation of any work, but I don't think that is incorrect to feel that tension in the work. And I think red, we know that red has a lot of psychological associations. So it does make sense to have that tension there.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose in contrast, if you could show the green work, I know it's behind me, but if you have that,
Yeah.
the green work, I think it maybe it is the shade of green, but it's a little bit more serene, and your eye does follow the pathways a little bit more. There are a lot more lines that curve around, and there's the intersection in the middle. But I think that the green is really grounding for the work, and so it alleviates some of that tension. Although this is too has that topographical feeling.
Yeah. And something with this green one that I was thinking about, for some reason, I keep thinking of Houston when I look at this piece. I know it's not the shape of Houston, but I still get that feeling. And to me, it almost feels like Houston, the Houston environment just kind of reclaimed its place and just kind of retook over the
Mm,
city. And it's giving me those vibes. And it makes me think a lot about Houston and how there is so much greenery. And it's just,
absolutely.
even like with sidewalks, you'll see oak trees and their roots coming up and kind of breaking out. And it's almost like how we live with nature. So
Mm.
there's two very different contrasting, but I do agree. This is a very much a serene piece, and you kind of just stare at the expanse of it all.
Absolutely. And I think what's so wonderful about it being here at Art League is you can get really close and see the details and see that there are dollar bills in it, and that there's still those consistent domino shapes that are consistent with a lot of the works in the show. So it's really wonderful. So if you can come in to see it, you'll get to see the details of it.
And if you can't make it in, we highly recommend listening to Rick and Alex's artist talk. They did a great job of explaining Rick's entire artist career, what he has moving forward, but also kind of going more in depth about how he's approaching his paintings and drawings. Gonna look at a couple more. We got some. I like how many colors he uses too. Like he's not afraid to use bright colors, and I am very happy for that.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of colors, but I think what's so wonderful about a lot of the works is the whole show feels so cohesive. There's
Mm-hmm.
not one work that feels out of place, due in part, of course, to the curation, but it feels that his show is very cohesive,
Mm-hmm.
and they work. They have a lot of good conversation, especially these two works, and these also.
Yeah, and so we've had to kind of switch some of the works out, but like I think all the works still play really well with each other, and like it's really refreshing to see like coming into the gallery and just being like, oh, I'm gonna focus on this piece today, or I'm gonna focus on that piece. And he has moments in all the pieces that kind of repeat throughout it all. So whether it's the domino shape, the application of paint, the colors, they have this nice conversation within the gallery. Like this one right here, how they have a similar shape of how they're going up into a directional diagonal up to the left corners. And I really enjoy that kind of similar shape structure. And then his drawings, of course, as well, where I think he actually traced the dominoes and like layered them
Mhm.
over the top when he was doing these.
Yes, and as you can see in actually all three of the works, it starts a little less close, I guess. They're a little bit more spread out, and then they converge, and it almost chaotically, but in a mathematical kind of way.
Yeah, they really do have that mathematical quality about them. And I love like this intervention of this like stark solid blue. Like
Mm.
it's really satisfying. And I love the shapes that he.
Yeah. It really captures your eye in the same way that like a Barnett Newman zip really like draws you
Yeah.
to the middle. I feel the same way here, that blue is really striking. And it really draws you in.
Yeah. So before we talk about our favorites, we did want to talk about Rick's catalog, which was designed by Teresa Southwell, and she did a phenomenal job. It even with like the cover design, with it being like in the shape of a dominoes and the silver embossing, it looks so good. She did amazing. And yeah, the front cover, of course, involves dominoes, but it's a great retrospective of his paintings and drawings. And so if you can, I would definitely check it out or even purchase one. But just a little sneak peek of what's in there. But Joy, so your
Yes.
favorite piece of Rick's show? Let's,
Yes,
let's
this
talk
was
about it.
there was some conversation about which one was my favorite. It was very hard to pick. I have a soft spot for each one of them because I hung a lot. I helped hang a lot of these works, so there is some blood, sweat, and tears in it. Not actually, but so this is my favorite work. I find it so striking. I think I think the duality of it is really what draws me to it. The blue is really grounding for the work, and so it allows the rest of the burst to stand alone, but also contrast, but not in a conflicting way. They work together, and still we have that domino shape, but it is a little bit more abstracted. So you do have that figure, but it's still in the realm of abstraction. And I think here the color family is really wonderful to me. Um, all of the colors seem to be based maybe out of the same color. Maybe it's the white that are in the colors and the shading, but they all speak to each other within this work, and it feels very contained, although it does almost go off the page or off the canvas. But it feels very cohesive while also being a little bit experimental and very abstract.
Yeah, and like those, like you were saying, that blue's really grounding, and then you have like those moments of those like dark, deep, like red and that forest green, and like is black, and it just kind of helps bring a nice balance to everything. Here's a close-up shot, and you can see he kind of layers on top of his paintings with paper and like just builds upon layers. And I think that helps with the dimension and the depth a lot too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
My favorite piece is the diptych. I remember we were putting this up, and like when we were trying to figure out the placement of everything, I'm just like, that diptych has to be in the show. But I don't know. When I first saw it, it just really drew me in. It might just be because I like diptychs a lot, but I like the contrasting elements, but they still feel cohesive. So you have these really like baby blues, pinks, mint greens that you see in both of the panels. But in the left panel, you also have these deep and vibrant reds and blues and yellows that kind of overtake it. And it's kind of like this nice push and pull happening. Whereas in the right
Absolutely.
panel, you have these almost like symbols, like it could be another language. And I think what it is, it's like shapes of where the domino games are. But I love that it kind of becomes like this topographical map and then a list of all the cities or information about that area. And it's just, that might be my science fiction love talking, but I love this kind of dichotomy between the two. And like that pink, like those pastel colors, like I'm really about them. Like he did it in such an amazing job. And like the textures that he built up are really nice too.
Right. It's interesting. It feels like the work has its own language. Of course, the symbols do look, as you said, like another language, but I think that the work really speaks to each other, either both panels, because there are consistencies within some of the colors, but you're right, there is that dichotomy. You do have those pastel colors, but then some more deeper and richer colors in the left panel, but they really do speak to each other well. And it's just so amazing how they fit so well together. Although they are
Mm-hmm.
two separate panels, they really come together to make one really cohesive work.
And I think another thing is the application of paint. So you can kind of
Mhm.
see in this photo like how he layered and took away. And I think having that in both panels really also helped unify it as well. All
Absolutely.
right. So that's Rick, our 2020 Texas Artist of the Year. Now we're going to be talking about Celia Álvarez Muñoz. So Celia's from El Paso. I'm also from El Paso, so I was very happy. uh, Celia Álvarez Muñoz is a conceptual multimedia artist currently living and working in Arlington, Texas. She is recognized internationally for her diverse and multifaceted body of work, including artist books, photography, painting, written text, installation, and public art. Álvarez Muñoz states that the mission driving her artistic practice has always been one of artivist, artist, and activist. This ideology and philosophy underscores much of her career and work. She was born in El Paso, Texas in 1937. Her childhood experiences and youth living in the borderlands inspired much of her later creative practice, referencing dichotomous cultures, values, and language complexities found along the US-Mexico border, along with the physical, psychological, and socio-political issues of life along the border zone. She received her BA in art from Texas Western University, now known as University of Texas El Paso, or UTEP, and enrolled in graduate school at North Texas State University, now known as University of North Texas Denton, or UNT Denton. Her personal experiences, along with historical experiences, have left an indelible impact on her career. Álvarez Muñoz has received several awards and achievements, including the Honors Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Visual Arts from the Women's Caucus for Art in 1995. Álvarez Muñoz's work has been featured in numerous national and international solo and group exhibitions of note, including University of Texas at El Paso, Texas in 1983, the Whitney Biennial in New York in 1991, Station Museum of Contemporary Art here in Houston, Texas in 2012, and the exhibition and accompanying catalog, Radical Women, Latin American Art, 1960 to 85 at the Hammer Museum in Los Angeles in 2017, where it also traveled to the Brooklyn Museum in Brooklyn, New York, and the Pinacoteca de Sao Paulo in Sao Paulo, Brazil in 2018. She is represented in numerous public and private collections throughout the state, including the Art Institute of Chicago in Chicago, Illinois, the Getty Research Institute in Los Angeles, California, the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago, Illinois, and the Museum of Fine Arts Houston in Houston, Texas. Oh,
She's a wonderful bio.
She has a very wonderful bio, like artist goals.
An amazing career, a long bio.
Yeah, and what I really love about this exhibition, it shows how much work and how many things she's explored in her artist career, and like how she's gonna keep going. And I'm like ready for it. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. I want to see more. Keep going, Celia.
So Celia is in our hallway and front galleries, and if you come by, you have noticed a very, very pink wall. And then yeah,
I remember painting that wall. Do you remember that, Erin? I swear I had just pink all over me. It was inescapable.
it was so bad because trying to get the corners of like, no, there's pink on the white, and then be like, no, there's white on the pink, and trying to find like that tiny
The
little balance.
tiniest brush.
But it came out amazing. And we're actually going to talk a little bit more about the pink wall later in the talk, though. But yeah, it's just really great show that shows how extensive and how amazing her work has, and how many topics and things she's covered, from language to religion to family to border violence to just, and this humor that she has too. I can't say enough.
Absolutely. Well, and I think the show also captures even in just a little bit of the breadth of her mastery of craft. Really, she plays with so many different mediums, and it's really the way that she uses them is really masterful. It's something that I don't know that I've seen exactly before. And you're absolutely right that the comedy, but also the tragedy, and it's really it's amazing. It's really yeah, really great stuff.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about a brand new ball game, because I know you really, really love this piece.
Yeah, so Brand New Ballgame is one of my favorites. It is one of two interactive works in Celia's show. We invite you, if you come in, we invite you to manipulate the blocks with gloves to create brand new sentences. Each one of the blocks has different words on each side, um, all sorts of different kinds of words, and you can manipulate them to make really interesting sentences. So it's one of the joys of mine when people come in to hear what kind or to look at the sentences that they have made when they leave and just see the different creativity. And it's really kind of a fun thing. Not often in a museum setting or a gallery setting do you get to play with the works. And so I think that is really telling of Celia. She wants you to play. And the words aren't necessarily, there are all sorts of different words. Um, so it is playful in the words itself, but then the actual act is very playful.
Yeah, and some of the words are in English, some of the words are slang, some of the words are slang in Spanish. I think I've seen chisme a couple of times. And so it's just also like disrupting what language means and what language is, and creating a new language.
Absolutely. And a brand new ball game, creating
Yeah,
a brand new, something brand
yeah.
new.
Here's a really lovely piece. I think kind of touches a little bit on like religion and Catholicism, and like Yana, and this beautiful portrait of the Virgin Mary. But the way it just, I don't know, I love how she approaches her work and how she approaches sculptural works too, because she doesn't just do photography, she also does installation and sculpture. And I think this one being in the corner, it just has this quiet solemnness to it where you can kind of just reflect. And I really, really like that.
Absolutely. I really love where it is in that intersection. So it kind of blends the realm of architecture and object. It is an intervention into the architecture of the building.
I love that. Yeah. Here's another one, the cabinet piece. So the doors do stay open. Please do not touch this cabinet piece. The doors stay open. But I think this is a really lovely, great one too, with like the poem in it, and then like the actual objects, and then you have like this red satin, which kind of reminds me of like, I was raised Catholic, so it gives me like Catholic vibes, but then you have the zebra print on the other side. So it's just really nice juxtaposition between the two.
Well, and having the doors open, which they, as you said, they do stay open, and we ask that people do not touch the door. It's welcoming. It really beckons you in to read the work and then to examine both sides and look at the difference, but also the connection between all of the things. And I think a lot of Celia's work invites introspection. And what does this
Hmm.
work mean to you, and how can it apply to you in your own life? Because a lot of the work definitely applies to Celia, but she invites you to question that in yourself.
Yeah, and this cabinet piece it just reminds me of a tabernacle. If you've ever gone to a
Mm,
Catholic church, it reminds me of the tabernacle. So as you can see, this is what it looks like with the doors closed with the ella, ella, and el. But then while she's asking you to draw on your experiences, she's also drawing a lot on her own personal experiences and what she grew up with, which you can see in the Enlightenment series, which are just like these cheeky photographs, but with like this story. And it just, both of them were so interesting. And I love how this doll is like almost a little bit unsettling, especially as it turns its head around in the photograph sequence, and then the apple turning into a snake, which could be a reference to Adam and Eve and the biblical
absolutely.
story of Adam and Eve in Genesis.
Right. Well, and I think also the height placement of all of the work really helps to either make it unsettling or make it almost feel monumental, because
Mm-hmm.
for the average person, I guess it is quite above one's head, but then you follow the story down, and then it is quite close to the floor, and then in the one on the left, it is on the floor, but it really just follows into your eye, does follow the story along.
Yeah. And I like that she put them vertical too. I feel like that vertical placement helped with the, like you said, the monumentality. You start all the way at the top and then you're all the way at the bottom. And for some people that may mean like squatting down a little bit. So it kind of changes
Right.
your perspective on the art and literally your perspective on the art.
Exactly.
Yeah. And here's some close up shots of the story from Enlightenment 2 or
Well, and
2
they're
or 3.
just really beautiful. Not only the photographs, but the framing. It's beautiful,
Mm-hmm. They're really
gorgeous.
stunning. Yeah, I really love the framing on this one with like that flat wooden framing and how light of the wood it is too. It matches the background of the apple really, really
Hmm.
nicely. Here's another Enlightenment series. This is kind of referencing more during like World War II. It's a little kind of like humorous ending card, which if you come in to see the show or if you look at our photographs on our website or on Facebook, you'll be able to see it. But I like how they're floating from the
Hmm.
space. And then this is a three, like a triptych, I guess would be the term for it. But the middle photograph is really, really solemn. It's not a happy photograph at all, especially when you read it. It's about violence at the El Paso and Juarez border, and it's completely heartbreaking and just it's not it's not a fun thing to read, but it's something that needs to be said and something that needs to be remembered. And I think that's
Right.
something Celia really does is kind of giving voices and platforms to people who are unheard and forgotten.
Hmm. And I think it also speaks to the that the show is there are really comedic parts of it, and then there are really solemn parts. It's really diverse in theme. It's thematically very diverse. So you do have something that is tragic, as Erin says, but then you have something that is a little bit cheeky, but it feels cohesive still, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that just kind of attests to Celia and her craft and how phenomenal of an artist she is that she can find that really great balance between solemn and humor.
Mhm.
This is our second interactive piece in the exhibition, the mural of Chuck Berry. And we have 3D glasses where you can view through it, and it looks really cool.
And so that was hand painted on the wall
Mm-hmm.
from a projected image, right?
Yeah, like an old school projector, like when you're in sixth grade in a math class and you have to like write all the formulas. Yeah, and it was projected onto the wall and done with paint. And it came out really phenomenal. And I love the blue vinyl with it too.
Right. Well, and getting to use 3D glasses, that's pretty fun. You don't get to do
Yeah.
that so much anymore.
And then this is a piece actually behind me. But yeah, it's just really, I don't know. And I love that bold yellow border around it too. It just like brings it out even more.
Really striking. Very, very striking. And I think it helps bring your attention inward because it is so striking. Your eye wants to almost move away from it and move in and focus on the story.
And I love how big it is too. Like you as a viewer are completely enveloped into this piece. And I love that. And I love how bold the text is, and just like the train going by. I think it also draws on her personal history too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's another piece, Blue and Yo, which are towards the end. They're right near the corner piece. But I love the way she sets up her photography still life. They're just so thematic and theatrical, and I love it.
Yeah, and there's so many details. Again, you kind of have to get a little bit close to see all of the fine details. It's really, this one is a fun work.
Yeah. And then her catalog was done by Linky Starr, who also Friends is head of Cattywampus Press, but Linky specifically focused on this catalog, and it's great. I think it really reflects Celia too. Like the interior is bright and colorful, and it has like you can see the humor, you can see the solemnness to it. Roberto Tejada did a wonderful essay about Celia and her career. Highly, highly recommend purchasing this catalog.
Oh, and the
And that's,
rounded edges too,
I
and
know.
the striking pink. It's really great. I really like
And
it.
I remember when I went to the El Paso Museum of Art a couple of years ago, and I remember seeing a similar series to this, and I was just like, okay, I really loved it. And then all of a sudden I'm looking through her catalog, I'm like, I know that artist. So I thought that
That's
was
always a fun feeling.
it's always a great moment. It's like when you see an artist you've been wanting to see for so long in person, and you're just like starstruck. It's great. But that pink has the pink of the catalog and the pink of the wall have a very special connection, which Joy is going to explain for her pick for
Yes.
Celia's show.
So this is my favorite work. And we spoke a little bit about the pink wall. And the pink wall is continued or starts in with the work. And I don't know, the vibrancy of the pink is it really draws you in. And as we said, we painted that wall and it got everywhere. It's even still on my phone. I still have the pink. I love the pink. But also I love the image of the gas mask. We don't often see gas mask with these really vibrant feathers. It's almost strange and comical and almost sci-fi and just otherworldly. But it's I don't know, it's just so striking. I remember when I saw that color, I knew that it was going to be fantastic and really just awe-inspiring. I don't know, I come back to this work every time I walk in the hallway and I kind of have to stop. And it's enrapturing, really. And then next to the other work that features kind of blue prominently, the contrast between the blue and pink. So this is my favorite work. And also the black outline of it, I think, helps to kind of encapsulate the work and center it.
With that like black matting and black frame, it almost looks like a window. So like the work on the right could be like directly on the wall, but the work on the left could be a window into downtown Mexico City. And so I think that's
Right.
another really great like play with like the actual environment of what it's hanging on and then the work itself.
And a little bit of mystery. I think a lot of the works in the show, they're a little bit mysterious and mystical and you don't know exactly what's going on and they're very playful. So I think that's consistent here, like you're saying with the frame.
Yeah. And then I really love the triptych right across from this, the George pick actually, but I specifically love Maybe. And these are actually cubichromes, which is apparently a technique not used anymore because it's very toxic. But what I think I really love about this photograph are the lush colors and like the absurdity of it all. Like you have this nun, you can tell he's a puppet with the strings in there, with this bright green and red cactus with the flowers, and then the texture of the fur on the bottom, and then the blue background. And I love that. I love all of it. And it's kind of like you said, it's like that sci-fi quality to it, which I think also why I'm really drawn to it. But Celia just does such a great job in creating her still lives and photographing them. And I think they're phenomenally done in the directions, and there's so much going on. So, and I even love the frame, like that the light white matting, and then like the light wood makes the actual frame.
Right, it has almost a Twilight Zone quality. It's a little unsettling, but it's a little familiar. There's a lot of duality to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I also enjoy this, and also in the series, I enjoy it. The see, no, and the maybe. It's
yeah.
interesting how they work together.
And I feel like C and No, like they're not the exact same still life, but they're still like a lot of the similar elements. So it's almost kind of like one half of the other, like one side of the coin
Mm.
and the other side of the coin.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, see and no being inverses of each other, yes and no. And then the maybe in the middle, is it kind of disrupts that, direct opposite.
And even like the shapes, so C and No are both horizontal, whereas maybe is vertical. So even
Mhm.
disrupting the actual shape of the photograph too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
Oh,
also to have works that are sebachrome, that is very cool. As you said, you can't do that anymore, because the chemical, I think, is it's outlawed, right? It's an outlawed chemical that you use to produce the works. So to have that is really special and really is telling of the historical breadth of her work.
I agree. It's just so much stuff. So extremely well done as well too. Just fantastic artists I think we chose for our award exhibitions. They did a great job, and I think their work deserves that spotlight for sure. Let's see if we have any questions.
Oh, and we'd like to say that while Rick has already had his artist talk, Celia's will be coming later this spring, the spring of 2021, and so we'll look forward to that and hearing a little bit about more about her work in her own words.
Yeah, Jennifer Blanco asked why did she choose that orientation? I'm assuming talking about the triptych, but I think we kind of explained that. It's like this nice disruption between the artworks and stuff like that. Yeah. Do you have any other comments or anything you want to talk about with the exhibition?
Just that, as we said, if you feel comfortable, please come visit because when we did speak a little bit about the works, it's a whole different experience to see them in person. And these are really two very tremendous artists, and it's more than worth it to come see the shows in person. It really gives a different experience. And even seeing them almost every day, I still am taken by them and awestruck by them. So if I can still feel that way and seeing them so frequently, I think you'll definitely enjoy them if you come in to see them.
You find something new every time you look at the works, like something new, or like you
Absolutely.
said, there's always a different work that catches your eyes in both shows. So
Right.
the
And a
shows will
different
be up,
perspective.
yeah, and the shows will be up through April 24th, 2021. So there's still plenty of time to see the shows. Just make sure you make an appointment. Appointments are required.
Right. And as we said, it's a pretty easy process if you just go onto our website in the appointments tab and click book now. It'll take you to our Eventbrite, and all you have to do is put in your name and email, pick a date and time, and you'll be signed up to come in. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, so we just want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. If you didn't join us today, no worries. We'll be having this talk up on our YouTube shortly in the next few coming days so you can rewatch it again. And just thank you to everyone who's seen the shows. Thank you to everyone for supporting our gala, 2020
Yes.
Can't Stop, Won't Stop, because that's where we honored Celia and Rick and Miriam Bernardino Rocha. And then just thank you for your continued support to Art League Houston. It truly means a lot to us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And yes, and thank you to our artists and everyone who supports Art League.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And like we said, if you feel comfortable, come see the shows. We'd love to see you.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it for today.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Erin, for
Yeah.
this wonderful conversation. It's always so good to talk to you, especially about art.
I know. I love it. Thanks, Joy. Thanks for coming and joining.
And thank
All
you,
right.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, be safe.